Yo, what up? Josh Rubin from East West Healing Performance. Today I want to talk to you about headaches. Now, there's many reasons we can get headaches. Of course, it could be bacterial issues in the stomach, overgrowths. They release toxins. You could be putrefying your proteins. You could be eating too many proteins. You could be eating the wrong foods. It could be food additives, preservatives, blood sugar dysregulation, you name it. But today I want to talk about two little things. I think another important thing to think about, and this is based off the work of Ray Peat. I'm going to give you actually the reference for all you reference junkies. So if you don't get his newsletter, you're kind of shit out of luck. But it's Ray Peat newsletter. Copyright 2011, March 2011. Serotonin effects and disease, aging inflammation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, paragraph 22 to 24, page 1, 2, 3, page 4, column 1, line, I would say, 6 through 27. Is that a good enough reference for you? You gotta love the sarcasm. Anyway, he talks about headaches. An increased estrogen production in the body, which can happen from blood sugar dysregulation. It could be from the liver's inability to detoxify estrogen, oversynthesizing progesterone, deficiencies in progesterone in our bodies, of course, from exogenous estrogens as well. So it's all person-specific. But he talks about how estrogen inhibits MAO in the body, which actually helps to regulate specific things like serotonin and melatonin to downregulate, and there's others, noradrenaline and adrenaline. But estrogen inhibits MAO, which helps to detoxify serotonin. So MAO actually helps to detoxify serotonin. Now, it also shows that progesterone increases MAO, which helps to detoxify the excess serotonin in the body, which is highly inflammatory. And I've done tons of YouTubes on this. At the same time, as estrogen inhibits the MAO, it actually increases enzymes that control the rate of synthesis of serotonin in the body, which increases it. So excess serotonin in the body causes the veins, because now the estrogen actually inhibits MAO, serotonin goes up, CO2 levels go down, metabolism, thyroid, everything downregulates. That excess serotonin, among other things, causes the veins and the arteries of the pia mater in the brain to fill with blood, which causes circulation to the brain to decrease. So you got to look at it hormonally and say, well, maybe I have a headache because of estrogen dominance from exogenous sources, blood sugar dysregulation, oversynthesizing progesterone, and not enough progesterone. So that's one of the reasons why, you know, we can say women might get migraines around their cycle. So it's something to look into. And of course, if you have more questions, give us a call at 760-597-9727. At the same time, I want to bring up something a little bit different. Now, of course, a lot of my stuff is a little technical, I feel, and some people say, well, you know, you do it too technical, you should do it for the layperson. You know, I understand, but at the same time, I'm being me 100% of the time. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to really dumb things down, or just not dumb them down, just bring them to that level. I just want to share information. That is my point of doing this. I'm not writing a thesis. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I don't say I'm God. All I do is share what I learn, and that's really it. I'm here to share. So if you want to come after me, but all I'm doing is sharing, and if it keeps going, then I won't share anymore. Alright, so another school of thought on headaches. Now, if you don't want to know anatomy, and you're not a practitioner and you're bored by it, you don't have to watch this, you can fast forward it a little bit, but I think this stuff is kind of interesting. So if you look at your cranium, this is kind of the front, that's your frontal bone and ethmoid right there. Your sphenoid's the yellow bone, and then your occiput in the back, okay? You do have temporal bones, which are part of this, but it's hard to hold. Temporal bones go here on the side. Basically, if you stick your finger in the air, you're touching your temporal bone. So in your brain, or around your brain, or separating the two hemispheres of your brain, you have what's called the falx cerebri, and that separates the two hemispheres of the brain. So basically, from the crystal gallo of the ethmoid all the way back, separating the two hemispheres, you have a line of kind of fascia that attaches to Sutherland's fulcrum here. That line in your occipital bone, and that's actually how you develop that indentation of Sutherland's fulcrum in your occipital bone around, I can't remember exactly, anywhere from 1 year plus, or even a little further, because your occipital bone ossifies later on. It doesn't ossify, obviously, when you're born. Then you have the tentorium cerebelli, which separates the cerebrum from the cerebellum. So cerebellum's down here, essentially. And it separates the two hemispheres from the cerebellum, right? Now, the thing about that, it actually attaches from Sutherland's fulcrum, straight sinuses, and things like that in the occipital bone, and it goes to specific parts of the sphenoid bone, which is the anterior posterior clinoid of the sphenoid bone, and the petrous portion of your temporal bone. So just think about that as we talk about this. And you can research this. You can look at osteopathy in the cranial field by Magoon, any craniosacral book. You study that. Just look at in any anatomy books, Netter's, Clements, any anatomy book. You'll see all this fascia, and that's really where I'm getting this from. Then you have the falx cerebelli, which separates the two halves of the cerebellum down here. And that actually attaches from the straight sinus once again down to C0, C1, C2. It connects all that fascia to the foramen magnum, down to S2 and the coccyx via the pia mater. So, really what I'm getting at is this. If I take off the frontal bone in the ethmoid, you have the sphenoid in the occipital bone. Now, anytime you have any type of movement, anytime you breathe and move, these bones are always moving there. They're flexing, they're extending, they're rotating, they're side bending and rotating, on and on and on. Anytime you have any trauma to the head, anytime you have any trauma to your sacrum, to your coccyx, right? Anytime, you know, it really could be anything, to be honest with you. But anytime you have a locking mechanism, what we call a lesion, or where it likes to go and it doesn't want to go in another movement. So let's say we inhale, it goes like this. We exhale, everything goes like that. Let's say you're locked here, and every time you exhale, it doesn't go back. Same thing with a rotation. Someone could be locked like this or this. You have side bending and rotations to the same side. You can have superior, inferior vertical strain, on and on and on. Well, the thing that can actually create a headache in a lot of people, is anytime you have abnormal movement of this, and I'll get rid of this because I'm sick of holding it, it puts a lot of tension on that mechanism, the fascial mechanism. So if you have serious lesions in those bones or in the fascia, because the fascia is connected to those bones through that mechanism that I explained, it puts tension, a lot of tension, on the attachments of the tentorium cerebelli, which basically works with the other two pieces of fascia. And what this can do, it actually can create dysfunction in specific structures, such as the cavernous sinus, which receives hormones from the pituitary and the hypothalamus, which can regulate hormonal issues. That's why you see people that get great osteopathic work or craniosacral work to that mechanism, to what they call the SBS, right? This of the cranium might get some hormonal regulation. Oops. At the same time, you'll see issues with the circle Willis, which can cause vascular issues, which can cause headaches. You'll see functions at the base of the cranium or the base of the brainstem actually get affected, such as sleep, appetite, and arterial tension. You'll see issues with cranial nerves 1 and 2, which is olfactory and oculomotor, as well as other nerves that affect ocular control. So you're seeing that people can get actual headaches from hormonal issues, from the foods we eat, but also it can be physical. So we can't always say that a headache is one way and this is how we get headaches. Because you can see that based off this, that because of the fascial connections in the brain to the cervical spine, through the thoracic lumbar spine, to the coccyx and sacrum, that you can have an issue below affecting it above, or an issue above affecting it below, and how these structural issues and fascial issues can create tension on the falx cerebri, falx cerebelli, and tentorium cerebelli, which can create hormonal issues, lack of blood flow, you name it, which can create migraines. So hopefully I didn't go too deep. Hopefully you've learned something. I think my key point of doing this is look further. If something's not working, try something different, and you can get a lot of relief from physical work as well, and it's not always hormonal, because everyone has a headache for a specific reason. So that's the key point of doing this. Thanks for tuning in.